Morning. Welcome to Coffee and Resales. My name is Ryan. I buy stuff at flea markets, thrift stores, yard sales, and similar places. Try to flip them, make a few bucks online. I specialize typically in books and toys, which, if you go to yesterday's video, I posted it. Yep, I posted it yesterday evening. I had a great big unboxing of some vintage Star Wars, G.I. Joes, and Transformers that I will be reselling and repairing. And actually, I might keep one. I may keep that hound I found yesterday. But more of that if you check out yesterday's video. Today had a very interesting haul yesterday at the thrift store. And a book that sold basically overnight at a good price. It was at the right price. I priced it right, described it right, listed it right, sold it right. So we're gonna grab that. Only two sales, but one was pretty decent. So we will jump into that and then check out the stuff I bought, which is interesting. So anyway, first up. Grief Observed by C.S. Lewis. This is a hardcover, which is actually his individual books. This is one of the first times I think I've seen it. Seen Screw Tape Letters in hardcover. I don't know that I've seen this in hardcover before. And I snagged this, and this sold for $9. Fairly quickly. I think I got it a 3 weeks ago. So a reasonably fast sale for a book. But his stuff tends to sell. I got to do a better. I got a bunch of Narnia stuff, and I got to figure out what to do with it because I don't have like a complete Narnia set, even of the old properly numbered stuff. And so I got to figure out what to do with some of that. But his non-Narnia stuff tends to lot up pretty well. I've had pretty good success. Selling his paperbacks in that $2 to $3 range in lots. So there you go. Next up is a good sale, and this is one of those things that goes the importance of that. Good stuff on eBay, priced well, sells fast. I think over 75% of the sales I tend to have sell within the first 3 weeks of me posting them, and the rest of the stuff sits a lot. May sell eventually, but it'll sit. But if it's good stuff, this is the study of orchestration. Once again, a little bit of a shout out to small town bookseller out in Texas, who does a pretty good job with textbooks. Textbooks they're not easy to find where I'm at. Good ones to resell that I've seen. I've done a couple or three. Most of what I get here, probably where you are, is lower level English and nursing stuff that's out of date pretty quickly. So it just sits and sits, and I know the scan. If there's anything of value, it gets grabbed up pretty quick because of the guys who are scanning and they know what to look for along those lines. But this one, $40. The study of orchestration regarding, like, see all the music and all that sort of thing. Clean copy, a little bit of cover wear, but nothing awful. It doesn't even have a student name in the front of it. So. This was neat find. It was $2, turned into 40. Now, some fun finds. Mini for the heresy box. I do a lot of religious books, and I am fairly orthodox in my Christian beliefs. Small O orthodox, not big O orthodox. And like lately, like somebody dumped a whole bunch of Mormonism books on at Goodwill, and I've been a handful of them I've been snatching up, and I'll send with excuse me, I put read with discretion on the description. I may throw a note in there with regards to the content when I send it out. I'm not going to write it. I'm not going to damage them. But anyway, first off, though, this still goes in the heresy box. Oral Roberts, Seed Faith. This is I've actually sold this book before, $10 to $15. So I know his older books for prosperity theology. Older prosperity theology stuff does sometimes move. Books on Mormonism. We'll go through those. This is a. I haven't wadded these up, and I may eventually if they don't sell. But these are from the Classics in Mormon Literature series by various. I'm guessing these are Mormon presidents. I could be wrong, but there's 3 of those. These I have listed for about $15 a piece. One of the things about I think Mormons keep kind of reprinting their books, particularly if they're ones that don't conflict with current Mormon theology. They tend to have a lot of printings, and that actually holds the value down on some of them. I've got a couple of older stuff. I think I got a Brigham Young book that sat for a while, and but it kept being reprinted, so the value of it actually stayed low. So those 3, and this one, the Lossia Zarhemla. I think this is one of those things that Joseph Smith. This is weird. I don't know. I don't know enough about this part of it. About some sort of Joseph Smith vision. So, and the city he thought he knew about, and he didn't. And that's beside the point. Okay, next up. I think it's all the Mormon books. We're going to get to that one last. This is a fun one. I think this is like a $20 book I've got up. Collected lyrics of Edna St. Vincent Millay. I've sold a version of this before. Actually, I think a really old version for a little bit more money. This is like a 1930s copy. It's pretty nice with the dust jacket. Again, it's one of those. Maybe when I get some stuff cleaned up and I find that I have some collectible books and that sort of thing, I may look into doing how to do Mylar covers on some things because this one may deserve it. So, anyway, her books, particularly the older ones, this follows my rule of grab everything pre-war under $2, $2 or less, and that's what I did here. And that should resell, I know, eventually. This is like a $30, I think. Look, I don't quite remember the price, but I remember this one was a little bit more. The New Complete Works of Josephus. Josephus was a... I know that I may get this wrong a little bit. He was Jewish in a time not long after Jesus. And his is one of the first post-New Testament historical references to Jesus Christ and to Christianity not long after the 70 AD destruction of Jerusalem. And he chronicled a bunch regarding that time. So he was an early historian. A little bit of a propagandist, but he mentioned some stuff that's pretty important to Christianity at the time. This is fun. I don't know that I mentioned. The Library of Alexandria. This goes through... this is actually a little more of a scholarly work. I think I got this for $20-25. Got this up for $20 or $25. This is a little bit more of a nerd of a... I may go through this if I ever get a few minutes. But regarding the history of the Library of Alexandria and its destruction or not, and its evolution, that sort of stuff. Liked finding this book. This is one of those interesting problems you find sometimes when you do book sales. This is called Murder Solves a Problem. This is a 1930s, I think sort of a noir style murder mystery. I think Raymond Chandler, Big Sleep, that type of stuff. And there was one sale for it for $10 plus shipping. There was one comp. And there's another one for sale for $100. I think that comp may be underpriced. $100 is definitely overpriced. So I started this about $75. And we will see where that leads. And if there's any demand. And I'll gradually draw it down over time. This may only wind up being a $10 to $20 book, and that's fine. But it was worth. Sometimes you gotta take a chance on books like that because the value is going to be in between there somewhere, particularly on old rare books that you're not entirely certain. One of the weird habits of eBay booksellers is when you find a book that there are no comps on, and few if any listings on there. Some of the philosophy of some is to grab it, list it high, and just sit on it and see what happens. I don't quite have the room to do that. I actually have a couple books I've got some similar instances with. Most of them they're old weird textbooks. That is what usually happens with those. We'll see what happens with that one. Next up, this one was fun, and I need to look it up. This is one of those you don't think of, and I was like, I better look that one up just in case. This is a Nancy Drew Hardy Boys crossover novel from late 80s, early 90s. These things are worth a little bit now. I think these are running $20-$30. So don't pass on them because there's some value to these. This one's a little beat up and was read, but some of these didn't have a huge run, and some folks may remember them with fondness. I didn't read any, so I don't know if they're any good, but worth thinking about and snagging. If you ever see any of the Hardy Boys, most of the ones, even the old blue ones, aren't selling that well, even on eBay. Like you almost have to have a complete set. There's a few of the last yellow matte Nancy Drews. I don't have one to pull out right. Yeah, there's a few of the Nancy Drews that are later numbered. Like these, like in the 40s. That are worth a good bit of money. I was sitting on one for a while and didn't realize it a few months ago. It sold it like that in the $30 to $40 range. But most of those are $2 to $3, and you're lucky to get that for them unless you have a complete set. Finally, this is not worth a lot, but it was a fun. This is one of those Cold War era, how the world will end, sort of that dispensationalist. Jesus coming back real quick because of the commies in Russia, Cold War era style theology of that time. Red Scare stuff. So I got that up, I think $20-$30. It seemed to sell. I've actually got a couple of things like that for sale. I find that they do move a little bit, and particularly when you can get them for $1. You can even line them up sometimes, and I've found some weird stuff too that sold for a bunch more, involving aliens and crazier conspiracy stuff. So sometimes that stuff fun to read through and resell, and I don't take it too seriously. So that's what that is, and that is good to go. Yeah, that's it for today, I think. So, good sales, good stuff sells fast. If it doesn't sell fast, it might not be good. Something to think about. Anyway, have a good day out there. Happy selling. Like, comment, subscribe. Post something that you might have thought you weren't sure about that sold pretty good. Let's go with that. Have a good one. Bye.